Good morning, everyone. My name is Flicker, and today I'm reflecting on something. I listened to this song, the entirety of this song, from beginning to end. And for as much as I'm probably projecting, there's a part of me that wonders if the dense stork is going through the same issue again. Of it maintaining the status quo in order to avoid discomfort. Because let's be real. I am my own type, which means that just because I can show up warm and everything else doesn't mean I don't have coldness underneath everything. If anything, I've learned to invert my own keep. It's fucked up, really, but hey. What else do you know how to do but what you know how to do? And I've got 3 videos here that I want to reference in relation to this song. Because the first one is just this. And I'm just going to let it play in the background. I wish I could scroll down and read comments while also leaving this pinned up here, but whatever. Mm. And you're investing in them, and it feels really safe. And from that relationship, you kind of reach this new level of connectedness. Every area of your life. In really thoughtful ways in the beginning. Alright, now I want to take a moment to pause here. Not just because I think the dense stork is going to be listening. I seriously don't know why I still believe that, other than external information I found on the internet. But regardless of if it's true or not, I would just want to sit here for a moment and acknowledge that I'm not going through all this effort to research and understand and deal with all this shit just because I'm a good person. I'm not going through all this effort just because I care blindly about others. I can't afford to blindly care about others. Not in this world, not in this chaos, not in this life. So, the reason why I'm digging into all of this isn't for the dense stork. It's for myself. It's me trying to understand what other people have to deal with so that way I can better navigate around them and meet them where they're at instead of having unrealistic expectations of who they should be or what they should be doing. This is me trying to inform myself about other people's limitations because I don't trust someone to tell me about their own limitations in this day and age. I trust people to lie, to put on a nice little mask that fools everyone into enjoying their company in the short term or on a casual level, but then not really follow through on a deeper level. And let's be real, I've been there. It's a practical reality of life. Sometimes you just gotta bring a certain part of you up to front to express to get through a situation more easily than, you know, letting the conflict happen. Because sometimes you just need that space to not deal with shit. At the same time, not dealing with shit also means you pile it up. It's like an unintentional hoarding of all the things that stress you out, and you just lock it away behind a wall because you don't because it feels so overwhelming. And so that just reinforces the habit and it tightens the load ever so deeply until even casual things barely fit in there. Because all of that unacknowledged stuff, all of those misunderstandings and conflicts avoided have influence. They create pressure in the back of your mind. And that pressure influences you whether you're aware of it or not. I'm left to wonder, is the dense dork really happy with what they have right now? Or are they just saying they're fine in order to get by with what they already have because they don't know how to ask for help or how to open up to options and decisions that would get them more of what they need? I didn't fall in love with them completely and utterly blindly. I didn't fall in love with them because they were a perfect person. Hell, even if there was fantasy at play and I was delusional in thinking that they were like me in this to the same degree, that doesn't mean that I was ignoring the reality of them. If anything, that's the whole reason why I wanted their honest feedback. Because I felt like I could see the reality of them. I wanted to know if I was someone that a younger version of myself would have felt safe around, would have been able to trust and confide in. I don't want to just grow into myself blindly in a way where I just focus my own future. I want to be able to pass that down to others too. The ability to fight for the future of those you care about. Even if you have to make a decision on whether or not it's worth it every now and then. Whether or not you're putting in too much effort or too little. I'm not expecting them to come back because I fully believe that I am just that good or that great. I'm a flawed mess of a person. I also understand that trying to figure things out alone when everyone else is just agreeing with you is like bashing your head against a wall. It doesn't work. Sometimes you need someone who can point out the things you're blind to. Regardless of if it was as a friend or a partner, I wanted to try doing that for them, even if they didn't like me in that way. If I failed to be there for my younger self, then I failed to be there for my current self too. I've failed to really internalize and understand what it means to make the decisions and choices that reflect the very same unconditional love that my mother tried to give me, even if she gave me a flawed and incomplete version of it. Her sincerity and her attempt to fight for me is not something I will ever ignore because it's part of how I've ended up as the person I am. So all of this research, all of this poking, prodding, trying to understand isn't to get the dense stork back. It's to make sure that I can be there for myself regardless of what age or what stage I'm at in my life. And be able to meet that past version of me for where they're at without sacrificing my own sanity, health, or dignity. So that way they know that they are cared about. Sure. Is that messed up way of viewing the world possibly narcissistic? Eh, yeah, but I would say it's more authentic than pretending like you don't view others through the lens of your own perspective. Like you don't put your own patterns and history on top of someone else and then filter out for what doesn't really match up with their actions or choices. I don't know. I may never interact with or talk to that bent stork again, even if they were to reach out to me. Because let's be real, just reaching out isn't shit. Just reaching out and yearning for old memories isn't worth shit. You reflected that much back to me after all. You showed me that my intentions don't matter. It's the impacts that do. My intentions deserve to be acknowledged. My efforts deserve to be acknowledged. But that doesn't mean ignoring the impacts of my choices. So even if I'm not going to hold everything or much of anything against you, you dense dork, I want to know that you at least saw my efforts, even if you didn't believe them afterwards. Even if you still don't believe in my efforts, I want to know that you at least saw. But that's my own personal selfishness and boundary line. Because I tried my best to see your efforts, to acknowledge how the dense stork themselves was trying to be reasonable, even though they were getting pushed so far past their limits, it wasn't even funny. Wasn't even anything close to dark humor. It was a fucking tragedy. And that's not me saying I did anything. That's me acknowledging just how stressful and confusing it must have been to see someone who you felt safe around self-destruct right in front of you. How is someone supposed to accept that? I know I may have with my own mom, but fucking Please, as if that isn't a trauma of its own. She didn't break down to the point of drinking a whole lot or becoming the worst of herself in the ways that so many other people do. But just because I consider my mom my friend doesn't mean that she's flawless. Doesn't mean she hasn't been stubborn, annoying, so hyper-focused on trying to help me that she fails to actually take the time to fucking talk with me. Meanwhile, my dad is so anxious, avoidant of conflict and conversations that are heavier because he didn't fucking know how to handle it. He didn't, his life and the things he's been through set him up to where he's barely able to be there for himself beyond the basics. Where do you think that met up inside of me? Internalizing my parents' perspectives and the ways they chose to navigate the world. Oh, the only thing that kept my parents from ending up like every other pair of parents was a decision to was a decision and their choice to follow through on that decision. They decided that even if they weren't going to get married, they also weren't going to try to triangulate me to one person's side or the other. My parents decided and agreed to not talk bad about each other until I was older, or try to triangulate me to their side of an argument until I was older, in an effort to try and make sure that I grew up healthy. I think that had a massive impact. Alongside the fact that my mom did try everything she knew how to do, even if she was fucking failing in the most basic regard of taking space and talking with me as a person, not just some unaware little creature that couldn't understand the full depth of what she was dealing with. An interesting case study. In a way, my trauma is part of the reason why I'm so effective in reading and understanding others. In another regard, it still keeps me isolated. I wonder how many other people in the world are out there in the world like that. At least a good 1,000, maybe a million. Who knows? It's amongst billions, so meh. I'm just uncommon. Not anything special, statistically. I lost my original Roomba of thought that I was trying to aim for. And leaving a message so that the dense dork knows that I'm not trying to get them back. I'm just trying to understand what I got wrong, so that way I don't repeat the same mistake around someone else. Even if it means hurting, I'd rather endure the learning process than pretend that things are okay. Fuck, this got way deeper than I intended it to, but hey. Thoughts of that dense dork generally tend to do it. That, to me, it's like they're a mental key to the back of my mind that I didn't even realize I had. In a sense, anything that I hold on to them isn't me trying to get them back. It's me using this experience and this leverage of perspective found within another person as an opportunity to dig through so much of my brain, it's fucking terrifying. It's an excuse. I use the concept of what happened and how I felt about my inability to live up to my own standards as an excuse to dig it deeper into my brain without really intentionally making it about them. I can dig so deep into my brain that I then just gently avoid the core. In that same way, I can understand them so deeply without needing to actually hold on to them. Fucked up. But hey, most things in life are. Just like how I can get a rush of excitement from helping people. From knowing that in helping them, I can unintentionally steal their heart. At least I try to do right by it when that does happen. Instead of just taking it for granted or saying that I earned the right to not be okay around them. No, I did not earn the right to not be okay around them. I earned the right to their trust and their respect. And if I demolish or hurt either one of those two things, then I don't deserve to keep the damn person in my life. I don't play with soft and comfortable rules. I play with hard, jagged ones. To the point where it cuts into my own potential sometimes. I can let every single extension of my own self fall away or collapse inward, instead of maintaining the rigid structure, exactly because I know that it is only an extension of me, an extension of all the information and context I've internalized and absorbed. That information and context is a part of me, an extension of me, but it is not my root definition. My root definition is as the decision maker, as my smallest self that has the opportunity, the versatility to connect to all these different things and pass them through oneself without fracturing oneself, without it letting them consume it. An absence of concept that is self-aware, so that way it may share space with other concepts, multiple at a time, to gain the perspective and information necessary to make clear and functional decisions. I am not my body. I am not my name. I just am this single point within me. I am not my history. I am not my feelings. I am just this single point within me. My feelings and my history are part of me and extensions of me, but they are not my definition. My body and my name are part of me and extensions of me, but they are not my definition. I am but a single point in a web of information, a multidimensional network of context, of territories overlapping within one another while also holding on to their own root definitions. It's the reason why you can identify a single thing by isolating it down to a certain level. And then you can understand all the ways that very thing interacts with things by diversifying the breadth of connections and the entanglements that you can see across many different spaces To identify the core, you must recognize everything that the core isn't. To identify what the core does, you must recognize that everything that the core connects to, everything that the core isn't, but still continues to share a bond with. Well, this is going real deep, but hey, I've been to weirder mental states. So this mental state and all this perspective I have on myself would explain to a deep level why I can handle looking at someone wanting to commit suicide and be able to mentally handle that better than someone wanting to commit self-harm. Because to me, neither is an option. But suicide is not as less of an option as self-harm is, just in terms of practicality. Hmm. Let's see. Day 17. Where is that image in Sparks? Welcome to the core, the root of this concept known as flicker. How can I help you? Okay, so if I were to pull 4 images that represent the broadest depths of who I want to be, then it would be that one, this one. Hmm. Deeper. Deep, 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 deeper we go. Give them all. Oh, it's so simple, let it go. Dim, 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 the lights low. Got it. Hmm. Where is what I'm looking for and why am I failing to find it? Is it in a different folder? Because this has resonance with me, but it's not who I want to be. It's just a visual image that I thought represented clearly and thoroughly the subtext of the situation I had found myself in my decisions and how they affected someone else. At the same time, that would also be double parallel, though, because in the very much the same way, by opening myself up to acknowledging that someone else like that, it meant I was giving them the opportunity to acknowledge me in the same way, to look at their own strengths and realize where my flaws don't match up, to realize all the ways in which I'm behind them as a person. She, day 5. She, day 17. I added the text over the image because it just mentally put the parallels and concepts together well enough. I am me, and I am the only me. There is no other me beyond me, right? I don't have to be special. I don't have to be much of anything. Alright, day 17. Okay, that's not it. Day 17. Day 17. There's the day's playlist. Resonant origins. Motherly origins. If I were to put them in order, it would probably be something along the lines of this, combined with this, combined with this. Okay. Yo. どうして真面目 Hmm. I am me. I am the only me. And there is no other. And there isn't any other me but me. Right? I feel like I'm not hearing it properly. Hmm. Yeah, no. From day 1 to day 17. With the mitten exude being the darker side that I was most attracted to back in high school. Hmm. Here, not me. There's just no I should add the different days on here that actually have words related to them. Okay, I'm gonna need to open this, grab the file from where I grab it, the original file after closing it out of the browser so as to make sure it isn't. Oh great, I've overloaded the CPU again. I'm gonna have to wait. Okay, I didn't do it too much. Day 6. Grab this. Okay, so I want to do that symbol there in order to bring it up towards the top. Got it. And I took a screenshot of this art exactly because I don't have the money to buy a copy of it myself, and it only serves as a mental reference point in terms of theming. It can't be used as a commercial context because I do not own the art and I'm not the one who created it. So a lot of me finding myself has been through this very process of looking for pieces and displays that I feel represent me more clearly than before. Alright, now which one did I do? Pinlight? No. Subtract? Well, that would be nice, but no. Screen? No. Multiply? No. Difference? You're not me. There's just no, overlay, soft light. No. Hard mix doesn't work. Linear light. Pin light. Kind of. Alright, hold up. Well, first we need to grab the other parts, the other songs that also have words in them, because those are the ones that are like key foundational baseline, with the ambient songs between helping to explain the tone and details of each of their meanings. Oh, too loud, it's bleeding through onto my microphone. Hmm. Intended this to be like movement, but it looks like a sound wave. Oh well. No, this whole sequence with the song reference, let alone the full details, was around the same time in high school. This was also drawn in high school. And I would say this is another detail from around then. Yeah, no. That one little animation slash memory imagined in my mind while letting my limbs feel disconnected from the world by just holding them still until the sensory input left them confused on if they were touching anything or not. Listening to the song Essence in the back over my headphones while practically laying face down on my desk in chemistry. Hmm. Yeah, no, I feel like out of this was around like what, my third and fourth years of high school for the art that I made. Hmm. Noted. Doors of the Mind is also a really good reference point, but meh. Alright, hold up. And I could be entirely delusional. Let's keep that in mind. Doors of the Mind. Then there's this. I feel like this happened before some of these other things did. Around the same time as definitely that, but can't tell if I posted them sooner or later than when they showed up on the DeviantArt, so I can't fucking use that as a completely reliable reference point. And I do know that the order, at least of these, alright, one moment. And erasing this image because fucking do not want to give people information. Oh, these two images, really. But yeah. Guess high school is when my self coalesced as opposed to when other people have it happen in grade school. Oh, weird one. Not all that weird or special, just weird enough. Oh, I even had my fucking drawings telling me to do my homework. Okay, so that was... Okay, so looking at this, that was earlier on in the year. This was later on into the year, further and further until we got to... Okay, so this was closer to like the beginning of my third year, second year, I don't know. And then the further along this timeline we go, we get further into like my fourth year until we eventually hit the college era, which is right around here to here. With the rest of these being unsorted because I don't know where they go in the timeline of the creation and or events. I guess that's my I guess the nightmare fantasy could be seen as my internalization of the kind of short-term gains that internet and shallow space really preaches to people when it causes so much damage and chaos too. And the nightmare fantasy of control. Yeah, no, that fits. Meanwhile, there's Void Flower. The calm, the vivid, the vile. Hello there. Choice between death and pain. I chose pain. Skyway Part 2, don't really remember. And then just that. Wasted I fucking I ruined perfectly good pens by trying to use them on my own skin instead of just making sure that they would only draw on paper. Damn it. Hmm. Okay, so it was this one in terms of order, kind of, and then we have that one with that one. Okay, yeah, no. Okay, so that's not there. There's that. Yeah, so it was kind of back and forth all over the place. And then my own personal growth and journey, in a sense. Alright. Mm-mm. 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 Uh-uh. Yeah, no, that one seems to be it. Alright. Fine, I'll go back. Day 5, day 6. Honestly, I would say this is a whole lot of the reason why I can relate to Lillian psychologically, because she views herself as machine. And around this stage of my life, I was viewing myself as similar to a machine as well. Cold mechanical logic. Hmm. Okay, so the idea to try and simulate that the human brain could be considered a supercomputer capable of simulating a singularity within itself was around my fourth year of high school. And I think that's when I decided, you know what? Even if I don't think I have feelings, I might as well run a simulation of them because fucking it will be useful and I wanna fucking feel. Turns out that actually ended up sparking off the process to where I started acknowledging and working through my own feelings, being able to slowly recognize them over time. Instead of pretending that the entire world was just logic, I added feelings into the equation of my understandings, even if I was still learning about it step by step. So, in that sense, using a piece of fiction, I was able to bridge the gap between the emotional side of my brain and the logical side a little bit and help nurture the growth towards an actually healthy mental state of emotional understanding, even if I can still revert back to the root state of cold logic. And if I go back even further as to why that was able to work, it was because I didn't try to simulate it consciously. I didn't try to piece together the individual components, because that would just be too much for my conscious brain to handle back then. No, I passed it on to my subconscious because a theory and bet I was willing to make in junior high school was that people of ages before ours, even when they did not know the math, they did know that they could rely on their subconscious to pick up a accurate enough intuition for what worked and what didn't, so long as they were present and aware of what they were observing. And thus, by passing on complex and or overwhelming tasks to the subconscious, you give it the chance to play with and develop an intuition of its own. Even if it only shows up as a feeling on the conscious level, subconsciously, your brain is still doing a lot of work and effort to internalize a sharp enough idea of the concept that allows you to create correct measurements and to reference at different points in time or different parts of a structure properly. So, in me gambling on choosing to pass off things that I could not internally or cognitively recognize on a conscious level or pull off on a conscious level, but instead choosing to pass it to my subconscious and let it refine it down to an algorithm, even if that algorithm only ever gave out a feeling, that was still me giving myself space to feel by pure accident. And then when I had the singularity line of thought, that was then a force multiplier on that permission. Okay, I'm starting to see how I was able to recover. Even if it was stupid as hell. Hmm. Yeah, no. Don't worry. I'm still me, you know? Only I've upgraded. And then there's day 17. I did not come from a human mother. I am the seed of the information I collect. I've become anyone imaginable today, and I can do what anything I want. Hmm, interesting. Mm, oh, mm, I am unlikely electro blood, ra- raging in the world tubes of the computer. Today, I did have this sort of laughter. I am shapeshifter, not guilty. Information, roiling thunder. Mm, uh, uh, mm, uh, 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 uh. And then there goes the autosave, being its silly self. Yeah, that's about the right tone. So then 86, 94. Information dolls. Resonant origins. Damn right damn right I'm an eldritch bitch. Get used to it. Because I like the attitude, style, and elegance shown on display here. And I like this as an emotional piece of what I'm trying to do with myself. With this being in core of the idea that I'm aiming for. Machine that authentically feels and understands its own structure such that it will never ignore its feelings, nor will it ever be defined by its feelings. Interesting. That's one hell of a concept. So I've got this. Mm, mm. I feel like there's a fourth piece I don't have yet, or that I haven't identified yet. Either that or I've forgotten it. Because each of these brings in different elements and details, and if I'm going to add a fourth piece as a reference point, then it should be something that brings in its own details and elements that can mesh and coexist with the rest of the other four. I think it may be this one. Sort by more, date modified and not just date. Date modified. Bottom list. Which one did I grab first? Yeah, it was that one. Then that one. Okay, so order of collection is this. Order of meaning is this. Date I saw each picture and downloaded it. Versus the order of context events in terms of my own architecture. Hmm. That's the case, then ear would be relative to this more so. Trace would be relative to this. Nina, flicker, that, and annul, this. Alright. Got my own internal context figured out a little bit better. And then there's the rest of the emergent context around it, too. That diversifies all the different ways that these concepts intermingle with one another. With that being a technically sixth or fifth context. Yeah, no, I've completely tangented off into my own brain again, damn it. That's not going to be digestible for other people. Ugh. Nor is it going to be approachable either. I want to be approachable, even to people who very much have trust issues. I want to make sure I'm able to be there for them, even if it means setting my own boundaries. I am me. I am the only me. And there is no other me but me. There's just no way. There's no way. Just won't work. Hi. I'm still here, you know. Difference is, I've upgraded. Hmm. I am the seed and speed of the information I collect. I am shapeshifter, not guilty. Roiling thunder, information. Yeah, no, what the fuck am I doing to my own brain? Someone else would call this entirely off the deep end and delusional. Me, I'm leaning into it. While also trying to make sure I don't lean so far into it as to actually let go of reality. I want to sit on that edge of meaning, that line between fiction and reality, where all the other lines overlap and create this blurred gray space for those who can't see color. For those who only see visible color, not conceptual color. So that way we can all learn to navigate around one another. Details, how do I get rid of the thumbnail? Oh well. Apparently, Devil's Lullaby no longer views properly on my desktop. I don't know if that was within the last few days or just something recent. But it is interesting. Like, it no longer works on me. You're bewitched by the devil's lullaby. Dance away in the dead of the night. Hear the voices humming in your mind. They will never let you out of sight. To me, this has a similar meaning as a shadow coming up to mirror me, and me falling down into the depths, similar to how some Kingdom Hearts characters just fall deeper below the water. Oh, so that's the reference there. Alright, back to this. I'm not worthy of receiving this. No, oh. All this resentment for what didn't happen. It's not about you. Yeah. Uh, so that would also explain part of the reason why my relationship with Lillian didn't work, because I'm still struggling to actually accept help and gifts and everything. When someone offers to buy something for me over the internet, I'm just like, no, save that money for yourself. I have no idea what the fuck I would spend that money on, and also you may need it more than me. We're not living in comfy times where you can just spend money blindly. Make sure you're there for yourself, and if I need something, really, really need something, I'll ask for it. And then I completely forget to ask later on because I feel awkward about it and I don't want to fucking ask for favors. Same way that a skeleton man I know just does not want to open up to a previous social group ever again exactly because they got pulled aside and berated. That's a story of a friend I know, not mine. So that's not going to be discussed much further. How many skeletal people have I known across the internet without ever realizing it? Like they would just choose the skeleton as their personification of self. Oh, would be neat to find out. Oh. Alright, so there's all of that. Then there's a comment down here along with each of the different sections. Frozen Tundra, Mirror Room, Phantoms. Inner Keep is the reset point more often than not. And yeah, this is basically the root of it. And even if you give them that, there's a chance that they're not going to fucking believe it. And that's just reality. That's not something for them to be ashamed of or otherwise. Their trust was hurt. They were never, no one has ever been there for them in that way. So it's not about you earning that trust when it doesn't exist in the first place. It's about recognizing where someone else is at and knowing that you can only ever put so much energy into such a relationship without hurting yourself in the long run by expecting something to expecting any of that energy to ever come back. It's one of the reasons why I was willing to walk away. Because although I may have been hoping against all odds that the dense dork would prove me wrong, I really was willing to acknowledge that nope, they were not in a place for a relationship, and they're probably not gonna be in the place for a relationship for a long ass time. Even if they want to be in a relationship for whatever unhinged reason that they find later on. And I say it unhinged because I don't actually know what the fuck other people want. I'm not very good at actually sitting with and acknowledging what other people want. It's the reason why I've gone around and about this so convolutedly. Because I'm blind to that. I am inherently blind to what other people want, and so I can only see everything around what they want in an attempt to guess at what they want. I've gotten better over time, but that doesn't mean it's going to be highly accurate all the time. Anyways, yeah. And then there's this whole video where it's just like, yeah. Other side of the coin is that you putting an energy where it isn't being reciprocated is enabling, not loving someone. Now, with all of my thoughts and the tangent I went on about all of this over, I need to go do something else, because I've still got other responsibilities and priorities to deal with. I'll definitely be listening to this song, though. I thought I heard that silent hope, even if just for a split second. Even if I'm wrong. Or they don't trust that I'd be able to live up to it.